Hi everyone, let's take a brief look at your novel for this term, The Shakespeare Stories by William Shakespeare. So about the author. William Shakespeare was a 16th century playwright, poet and actor who wrote in a variety of genres, and many of them still carry their relevance today and remain widely studied. Now, as this book is a collection of short stories or plays, let's take a close look at each one. The first one is The Tempest. This starts off with Prospero, a magician who sinks a ship as revenge, as the people on the ship had exiled him. However, daughter Miranda begs Prospero for mercy, and he lets the people reach his island. Many events then happen. Several plots for murder occur, and an unlikely love story unfolds. Prospero spoils the plots for murder, and in doing so, reconsiders his anger towards those people. Eventually, everyone on the island is forgiven, and they all sail home. Our next story, The Gentlemen of Verona. This story begins with Proteus, who loves Julia, and Valentine, who loves Sylvia. However, once Proteus meets Sylvia, he forgets all about Julia and falls in love with Sylvia instead. Julia disguises herself as a page to follow Proteus in hopes of winning him back, and frustrated that Sylvia doesn't love him, Proteus attacks her. However, is stopped by Valentine. Valentine's deep disappointment in Proteus causes him to repent and declare his love for Julia. Julia then reveals her identity and takes back Proteus. The next story, Much Ado About Nothing, which starts off with lovers Hero and Claudio who wish for Beatrice and Benedict to get together. They successfully do so and soon plan their wedding. However, Don John, a bitter man, tricks Claudio into believing that Hero was unfaithful, causing Hero to fake her death. Fortunately, Hero's innocence is eventually proved, and Hero was able to return to her lover. A Midsummer Night's Dream. Helena loves Demetrius, who loves Hermia, who is in love with Lysander. Unwilling to obey her father, Hermia and Lysander run away to the woods and is followed by Demetrius and Helena. In the woods, Fairy King Oberon decides Demetrius should love Helena and orders Fairy Puck to use magic to make this happen. However, Puck uses magic on the wrong person, causing much confusion and chaos. However, all is made right in the end, and Puck apologizes for his mistakes. The Merchant of Venice. Bassanio borrows money from Shylock, using Antonio's expected shipments as the bond. Shylock, however, has a grudge and asks for a pound of Antonio's flesh if the money isn't repaid in time. However, Bassanio is confident in Antonio's riches and agrees and uses the money to marry Portia. However, Antonio's ships sink at sea, bankrupting him, and Shylock is determined to take his flesh. However, Portia saves Antonio by finding a loophole in the loan agreement. As You Like It. This story involves Oliver, who convinces a wrestler to fight his brother Orlando. Orlando, however, wins, making Rosalind fall in love with him and Oliver to plot his death. Meanwhile, Rosalind is banished from court, and she flees with best friend Celia to the forest under disguises. They meet Orlando and Phoebe in the forest, and their disguises cause much confusion. Eventually, they reveal their identities, resolving all the confusion, and everyone is able to happily marry. They also receive news that they are allowed to return home. The Taming of the Shrew. Lovely Bianca has many suitors, but cannot marry until her violently tempered sister Catherine marries first. Therefore, Bianca's suitors work together to find Catherine a husband and find Petruchio. After their wedding, Petruchio denies Catherine food and drink until she is obedient. Later, Catherine wins Petruchio and his friend's bet of being the most obedient wife, causing Bianca and her father to be greatly shocked. The Twelfth Night. Orsino loves Olivia, but she isn't interested. Viola, Meanwhile, believing her twin brother Sebastian drowned, works under Orsino using a disguise and a fake name Cesario. While sending Olivia Orsino's love letters, Olivia falls for Cesario instead. Meanwhile, Sebastian had survived the crash, causing much confusion due to his similar appearance to Viola. However, the siblings eventually meet, resolving all conflict, and a happy ending is met. Hamlet. This story begins with a ghost who tells Prince Hamlet that Claudius murdered his father for the throne. Hamlet vows vengeance, but becomes so contemplated that he appears mad. Claudius, suspicious of Hamlet, plots to kill him. A poisoned fencing match would kill Hamlet, and a poisoned goblet was prepared as backup. However, Queen Gertrude mistakenly drinks the poisoned goblet, and both Hamlet and his opponent get poisoned by the fencing match and are to die. Hamlet then kills Claudius just before his death, leaving the entire royal family tragically dead. Macbeth. Macbeth is told 3 prophecies. He will be named Thane, which is a Scottish nobility, then king. But Banquo's sons will also become kings. When the first prophecy becomes true, Lady Macbeth convinces Macbeth to murder the king. Once king, Macbeth is worried about the third prophecy. So he tries to murder Banquo and his son. However, the son escapes, and Macbeth's tyranny raises an opposing army. Macbeth is eventually slain by Macduff, making all of the witch's prophecies true. Our final story, Romeo and Juliet. Although Romeo and Juliet's families hate each other, they secretly marry. Meanwhile, Tybalt kills Romeo's friend Mercutio, causing Romeo to kill Tybalt and be banished for murder. Juliet fakes her death in refusal to marry Paris, and Romeo is never told that Juliet was really alive. He drinks poison to join Juliet in death. However, Juliet soon awakens from her tomb to a dead Romeo. Devastated, she kills herself too, and their families arrive to witness both their children dead. They then vow to never argue again. So I hope you can now go ahead with this term with a little more understanding of each story in the book. Thank you everyone for listening to this short summary.